Hey everybody, welcome to the Sports in the Mitten podcast powered by Mr. Spots in Ann Arbor. I'm your host, Adam Biggers, beat writer for Michigan State for FanRag Sports, fanragsports.com. And don't forget, follow me on Twitter at AdamBiggers81. Follow FanRag at FanRag_U and at FanRag Sports, fanragsports.com. Um, Follow the podcast as well. I'm forgetting all the plugs already. I want to talk about Michigan defense. That's what I want to do today. So, podcast at Mitten Sports MI. Search on Facebook Sports in the Mitten, and don't forget also whether you're watching the live stream here on YouTube, you can also catch the just audio only versions on iTunes, Google Play, and on Blog Talk Radio, the FanRag Sports Radio channel. So. Today, like I said, guys, I want to talk about the Michigan defense. I just wrote a column for FanRag Sports, and that should be posting at some point today. And pretty much, I mean, like I said, I mean, through the first two games, I was asked this question: if there was one thing from the first game that I could kind of take and, I guess buy into or believe in, and I said it's definitely the defense. If there's one thing right now from that first game against Florida that I could take away, it was the defense. And Eric313, players need to be wearing knee braces, especially the D-line. Elite Demon, hi Adam. Biggers, hey Elite Demon, thanks for joining us. Four Masterfuls, you're in here. Sean Holtz, hey guys, how's it going? Yeah, I want to talk about the defense. Of course, I'll take your guys' questions. This will be a short one. I have to mow my lawn today, and I think it might rain, so I want to get to my front and back lawn. This will be a short show, I guarantee it. Can't stay long, but just wanted to say what's up. Love your podcast. Go Blue. I appreciate it, Mike Zabrowski. And like I said, guys, on Twitter earlier, Jalen Taylor actually tweeted me and said, hey, good stuff, good mix of responsible info and fan input. And I said, I'm basically the moderator. You guys ask the questions. You guys make this podcast fun. So I appreciate it. Spread the word. We're getting, some pretty good viewership on the YouTube live streams, getting very good downloads on iTunes and listens on Blog Talk Radio. Spread the word. Tell your friends. If you want to have a constructive talk about Michigan football and Michigan State, if you guys want to talk about the Spartans, we could definitely do that. So I'll get to the show. I just wanted to thank you guys. Let's see. Four Masterfuls. Cool. Let's make it short. Champions League soccer's on. All right. You have fun with that, Four Masterfuls. I remember I have a quick soccer story. And my niece and my nephew, they play travel soccer, and I respect the sport. It's a sport, you have to be athletic to play it. But I took naps during the World Cup. I think what was the year when the vuvuzelas were the big deal? I think it was 2010. I took naps during soccer games, and I woke up and it was still 1-0 or whatever it was in the 88th minute. Somebody scores a goal or something. But all right, I'll stop panning on soccer. Where's your guys' questions? We'll get in the Air Force preview tonight. Thomas Benda and myself we'll break down that. So that's the evening episode tonight. This is just kind of a solo talk about defense and answer your guys' questions. So Jeremy Turner, I know Air Force doesn't pass a whole lot, but any concern that the quarterbacks will get caught looking in the backfield too much? I'll answer that one real quick. Yeah, this is a defense, and this ties in with the defense, so we could go with this. I think this is going to be a huge test for Don Brown's defense because we've heard, the high risk, high reward thing last year, and that pretty much got dispelled. But at the same time, when a triple option offense, so many different types of wrinkles, and I mean one missed assignment, especially on some, I don't want to call them trick plays because it's not actually trick, but some of their the zone read stuff. I mean it can be kind of complicated. It can be kind of tricky. So I do think one of you guys out there mentioned it could be a funky game, and I think that's a great word for it. But yeah, this is going to be a huge game for Don Brown's defense. I think that Cleek Hudson is going to be the X factor for the defense just because he's all over the field. And I know with the run support and the threat of the pass, you're going to have a guy like Cleek, that ideal go-between. So, MIC Brook, is it me or is Mike McCray the slowest guy on our defense? I don't think Mike's full speed. I'll say that, MIC Brook. I don't think Mike's full speed right now. Four Masterfuls. Who is on practice squad giving them looks to replicate Air Force style and how it is going? I don't know. I can't tell you that for sure, but I can tell you Jim Harbaugh said that they had been studying like the triple option, the read offenses. They've been studying those quite a bit. And on the conference call, yesterday he reiterated that Air Force has their total focus 100%. They're not thinking about anything. And of course, that he's going to say that every week about a team, but I think when it comes to Air Force that this is, specifically applies just because this is not something that you're going to see in the Big Ten. This isn't something you're really going to ever see unless you schedule Air Force or a service academy or Georgia Tech or somebody like that. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a huge challenge for the defense, guys. Sean Holt's going to be a test on defense for sure. Would you say this is a good confidence game for the offense? I think it's both, Sean. For the offense, obviously you want to see the offense perform well. If you're Harbaugh, if you're a Michigan fan, if you're a player, you want to see the offense perform well. But at the same time, yeah, I think this is going to be a huge thing for the defense. And guys, I wrote this in the column too. Let's look at the points per game average. Right now, Michigan has the number one scoring defense in the Big Ten, or number four rather, number one total defense in the Big Ten. I didn't look nationally, but I imagine because I feel like it's a little early. It's only a couple games, but if we're looking at what we have in front of us from these past two games, we have 3 defensive touchdowns, right, to consider. 17 points given up against Florida, but 14 of those were defensive touchdowns. 2 pick sixes, well, 12 of them, and then the point after attempts, so 14 total. So 14 points of Michigan of the 17 Florida scored were not on Michigan's defense. They allowed 16 against Cincinnati. My quick math is about 9.5 points per game. Just a shade above 9, shade more than 9 points per game. Through 2 games, I know, but still. That stuff I think that you can take to the bank because we've seen it time and time again, right? I mean, what they averaged last year, like 11 points per game. No defense is getting 2 touchdowns, or no offense is getting 2 touchdowns on Michigan's defense. And that's been the case for about the past 3 years. Even when during Greg Madison's final year as the defensive coordinator. Then DJ Durkin came in, same story. Don Brown comes in, same story. We see 2 games in the season right now, same story. I don't think that's going to change. So, like I said, in terms of defense buying in, my smart bets on the defense, for sure. Penn State might just might what, Kennedy Cameron? Score some points? Yeah. But I think I've been saying that. I think the Penn State game is going to be a really big game, not only for Michigan, but for the Big Ten championship picture, possibly playoff picture. I mean, if both of these teams keep going, Penn State looks really good. Michigan has the potential to be really good. Jalen Taylor says, need to limit mistakes. Air Force is disciplined. And Jalen, Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh has almost, to me, like a military feel in a lot of ways. He's brought military. He's got his J.T. Rogan, I believe. One of those guys is from the Navy. I have to look up at their bios. We saw Jim Minnick. He was from the Marine Corps. That type of serviceman discipline, absolutely. And I think Harbaugh is trying to implement that at Michigan, honestly. And when you look at, exactly, Jalen, great point. The Air Force, not only do you have to look at the football side of it, as far as, how they're going to play, their level of play, but their level of execution and their level of discipline. I plan on watching some Air Force film tonight and tomorrow. And again, I'll watch some before I talk with Thomas Bennett tonight during our Air Force Michigan preview. But, yeah, excellent point. Yeah, I watched the Pitt game, Kennedy. Penn State's offense will be the biggest challenge for our defense all season, says Costco Payne. I think Indiana, too. I think Indiana might do. And don't discount Ohio State. Ohio State's still going to be a good game. But Four Masterfuls asks, due to the style of run plays, do you think we see more bodies up front that haven't played much? This might be one of those games. Yeah, that's a good point for Masterfuls, where we see a lot of rotation on the D line, just because. Let's go back to Michigan versus Florida. I didn't get a count on Florida's D line, but I know they were rotating the hell out of those guys because Michigan ran the ball 49 times. So let's just flip that and apply it to Air Force. I'm expecting Air Force to run the ball probably about 70% of the time. So, yes. KB, hoping to see Spate quiet all the haters. It's coming. It is. He did it last year. Elite Demon. Jim Harbaugh quarterback too. Let's not forget Jake Rudock. Jake Rudock did that. Jake Rudock shut up people, I think, pretty quickly. So, Elite Demon, every team we will look different after week 5. That's very true. These are the growing weeks, guys. Remember, we've talked about this as far as first 2 weeks. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see some tinkering. Week 3, maybe not as much. And given the opponent, I think that they want to have a pretty clear idea. I don't believe, at least from a defensive standpoint, I don't believe this is going to be a game other than we're D-line. But I mean, we're going to see that same rotation at corner. I think it's going to, with David and Levert, Brandon, Ambry Thomas. I'm not expecting to see any more guys back there. Ford Masterful said, Marcus Ray made a real great analysis about our defense Achilles heel the past few years. Did you hear it? And do I agree? I did not hear it. Ford Masterfuls. What'd he say? And coming from Marcus Ray knows a thing or two, right? I mean, he was on that 97 national championship team, defensive back. David Boston remembers him. So I think I would say Marcus knows what he's talking about with his analysis. So just off the top of my head right now, based on what he's done, he played football. I did not. So I think it'd be tough for me to disagree with his analysis. Put it that way. DAS wants to know, does the defense have confidence in Spate? The utmost confidence, guys. I've asked Tyree Kinnell. I've asked Khaleke Hudson. I've asked Devin Bush. Who else? I think that's it. Very similar question. Do you guys ever feel like the defense has to carry the team? Something along those lines. Does it worry you? These early offensive hiccups. And I remember Saturday postgame with Wilton Spate was sitting right next to Tyree, and I asked him that question. And he looked over. There's no waiver in confidence from anybody within the team with Wilton Spate. All the doubt and all the criticism is coming from outside. There's no internal strife going on with Wilton Spate. There's no divided camps. There's no is the defense confident in him or not? That's not even a part of the discussion. Kennedy Cameron, yeah, on passing downs, we got some of the linebackers off the field. Wes Weber, did you see Go Blog's breakdown of the Cincinnati tunnel screens? I did not. Those guys do a good job of breaking down film. Or at least detailing it. Elite Demon says, I'm not sold on any team, including Michigan, at Kennedy Cameron. Well, yeah, and I'm not, yeah, I think that's fair through 2 weeks. I'm sold on Michigan's defense. I've said that. I've never said that I was sold on Michigan. And again, I'm not sold on any team right now either. So you make a good point. But yeah, I'm sold on Michigan's defense. He said whenever it's a strong power run team like at Wisconsin, we suffer from having smaller linebackers in Viper positions, so they run right at us like they did Peppers. I'm reading it again. I'm thinking about it. Sorry. I think maybe, yeah, there's some merit to that. But I mean, the linebacking core is a lot different this year, right? I mean, Devin Bush, Noah Furbush isn't a little guy. Khaleke Hudson is stacked. I'm telling you guys, a lot of these guys, if they're shorter, like Khaleke's not super tall, but Khaleke is all. He's solid. Khaleke's all muscle. Very athletic. If they want to run at Khaleke, I'm sure Khaleke will welcome that because he really likes to hit. So, Sean Holst, really interested to see if this is the year Isaac puts it all together. Always had spurts of good run play. I mean, it's looking like it right now, at least through the first 2 games. I mean, he's already had career highs in his first 2 games. And again, we've talked about this before. He matched against Florida a career high of 114 yards, which he had against UNLV in 2015. Then he turns around, has a career high of 133 this past weekend against Cincinnati. And I don't think it's I think I remember Ty Isaac. I was talking to him during camp, and he made a comment that kind of sticks with me. If there's like sometimes a guy will say something, and that quote sticks in my head, like maybe the entire season or maybe all that week or something. I really hang on to that one piece. And from Ty Isaac, he said, and I'm not directly quoting him, but he did say something about it's time to go. Now is not the time to not know. Google it. I wrote about it. Just Google my name, Adam Biggers, Ty Isaac, FanRag Sports. You'll find it. And he said something about now is the time. You have to know. There is no question if you know or not. You have to know it's time to go. Ty Isaac realizes that, and I think he's playing well. Isaac seems to have much better vision so far this year. Adams, his lead demon. He's at vision and opportunity too. I think everything's just kind of it's means meets opportunity, right? Jalen Taylor, we have an array of hybrid-like linebackers Don Brown can work with. How many bodies are running the ball? I don't think size will be a prominent issue. Could be wrong, though. I don't think size. Has size been an issue with Michigan's defense? Let's just kick it back to last year. I mean, other than, yeah, they don't have some of these, SEC and ACC type of linebackers. Some of these guys, these super speed. But, I mean, I think that Devin Bush is going to be one of those guys. I think Jordan Anthony and Drew Singleton are those type of guys. I think Charles Thomas, 2018 or 2019 rather commit. I think he's that type of guy. Khaleke Hudson, certainly that type of guy. Sean Holtz, got to see a few games of Isaac when he was in high school. He was a freak, hoping he sustains the early success. And one of my coworkers at FanRag Sports, Tommy Stocky, he covers Major League Baseball. He does a great job for us. He is actually from Illinois, and one of his first jobs in the business was at a newspaper, and he covered Ty Isaac. And I remember this was in 2015 when I hired on with FanRag. He and I had a discussion. He was telling me, like, and a lot of these guys are, right? I mean, the really good ones, it's just unfair. I mean, any of you guys out there played, whatever sport, and there was just that one guy, you're like, man, this guy's going D1, this guy's good. It's unfair for us average folk to have to play against it. That's how it was watching Ty Isaac in high school. Tommy told me it was unfair, just the way that Ty ran over people. So I mean, and he's the natural ability to see the field, the natural ability to make cuts. He might not be the sexiest runner. I know a lot of people are kind of bagging on his style. Someone told me he runs like a tight end. Well, I mean, he can run like whatever he wants as long as he's averaging 8 yards per carry right now. So I think he can pretty much run however he wants. He's getting the job done. 5'6", Isaac's toss sweeps seem like touchdown threats every time. That's what his high school tape was like. Yeah, I believe it. I mean, I believe that. Jalen Taylor says it's evident that Isaac is finally running with a purpose. I agree with that. DAS, would Don Brown ever play a prevent defense to protect the lead? Man, that's a good question for Don. And I'd have to go back. I don't think they were really in that much of a position where they were threatened too often. Last year, I'm trying to think. I don't know. Prevent doesn't sound like Don Brown's style to me. I could be wrong. That's a great question. I'll try to get that question in next time there's Don Brown. 5'6" says he's protected well on a lot of deep passes. Kennedy Cameron, the weakness of the defense is linebacker covering running back out of the backfield, especially if McCray is the one covering. Better clean up this by the Penn State game. Well, I think it's good. I mean, Jabril was that guy, right? I mean, had Jabril played in the Orange Bowl, he would have been on Dalvin Cook. So, in tight end. And I think that's going to be the similar case for Hudson. So, for Masterful says, LOL, not a chance at the Don Brown prevent. Diddy 8, at the end of the season, which Michigan school do you see having the best quarterback? I love me some Spade, but gotta admit, Lewerke looks pretty good. Yeah, I don't know if... I know some people are like trying to directly compare these two, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But in terms of we're going just based off Diddy 8's question verbatim, at the end of the season, which Michigan school do you see having the best quarterback? I still think it's Wilton. I think Brian Lewerke is the better quarterback right now. And if you watch Brian Lewerke, and I wrote about Brian on FanRag Sports, this bye week's big for him. It's big for Michigan State. Spartans host Notre Dame on the 23rd. I'll be at that game. Michigan's on the road. And it's not a huge road game. So, yeah, that will be, right now it's Brian Lewerke. Eye test wise, stat wise, I mean, Brian's completing like 61.4% of his passes. He's got like 410 passing yards, something like that. 4 touchdowns and just 1 interception. And he's like 35 of 54. So 1 interception on 54 pass attempts. That's pretty good. Marcel Woods, does Brad Hawkins see the field? Marcel, he has seen the field. Kick return. DAS, any injuries to starters? No. Nothing that I can confirm. Wes Weber Jr., last Don Brown defense versus triple option yielded 326 yards, rushing 5 yards per carry. Boston College versus Army 2013 season. Give it up for Wes. Always with the great stats. I appreciate it, Wes. And maybe, I don't want to spoil a surprise, maybe a special surprise thanks to Wes as well. So I'll say it's going to boost audio quality. And we'll leave it at that. I don't want to give it away. I probably just did. Marcel Woods. Last game I was wondering who that was. Yep, that was Brad. And no, Four Masterfuls, no, those stats aren't good. But I'm also wondering, I know a lot of it's system, system, but Don Brown does have different type of athletes at Michigan than he has at Boston College, so. And Jalen Taylor says, yeah, at Boston College, so. Yeah, but I mean, I think it is a fair comparison, though. I mean, if you just go Don Brown defense versus last time you faced the triple option, very valid. Well, stats are great stats. Jeremy Turner, Penn State definitely looks good, but in my opinion, I think U of M will be ready. Not saying we win by double digits, but we'll be able to pull away on the road, which will help us for the Wisconsin game. Yeah, I mean, I think I've said in the beginning of the season, and obviously things can change throughout the year, but I mean, that was a 50-50 game in my mind. Slight, maybe 51-49 Penn State. I was slightly leaning toward Penn State. I mean, that's definitely a game the Wolverines can lose. I know, I mean, they know that. If they're even looking that far ahead. But yeah, that's definitely, they'll have to work for that one. No ID. Someone asked a question about how the defense will fare after the Air Force game against Purdue. I think that's a bigger question. How do you think they'll fare in that game? I do like that question too, because you're going from one extreme to another, right? You're going from the triple option offense to a traditional, very familiar Big Ten pro style offense with a pretty good quarterback. I know he threw a ton of interceptions, but so did Lego. 2 good quarterbacks, Indiana and Bluff. And Lego at Indiana, Bluff at Purdue. Fort Masterful says it's too early to call those late games. I think you don't know what this team truly is after the Purdue game. It's a week-by-week thing, actually, if you ask Jim Harbaugh, or actually at the end of the season, he was asked almost that question verbatim on the conference call for Masterfuls, and he wanted to know, the reporter wanted to know, when do you know, and he was asked this question, a similar question like a week or two ago as well. When do you know how good your team is, basically? And Harbaugh's answer was it's a week-by-week thing, a process. At the end of the season, though, that gives you a good indicator. He said the record. So, very straight to the point. And simple. How do you know how good the team is? The record. Chris Hawk says, Biggers. Hey, Chris. Thanks for joining. Jalen Taylor says, I know, lead. I'm saying the conference versus Big Ten. By all means, it's fair to compare, but not directly at face value. That's a good point as well. Yeah, not direct head-to-head comparison, but it's a very good reference point, and I think that's what Wes was trying to do. Elite Demon says the ACC is just as good as the Big Ten conference-wise. Okay. But in 2000... All right. That's a whole different discussion. Whole different discussion. DAS, go Blue. It's great to be a fan right now. Harbaugh and Brown are awesome. Brown stays in his lane. Don Brown is just, what's the right word for Don Brown? I like Don Brown. He's got a lot of personality. He tells you, I really like Jed Fish. I liked John Baxter. Don Brown, Greg Fry also, offensive line, tight end, run game coordinator. Greg Fry has a lot of personality too. Get him to the side and talk to him. He's pretty good. But Don Brown, very much. I don't see any coach who will demonstrate a press on a reporter. Don Brown will do that. He will get. He did it. It's on video. It's on my YouTube channel. I think he used Angelique actually. You guys know Angelique from the Detroit News. Don demonstrated, kind of pressing up on a guy a little bit, and Angelique happened to be the prop that was right there. And Don Brown will tell you, he gives great answers. He really gives us some insight into kind of the inner workings. I think Mike Zordich is pretty good too. So, yeah, great coaches, obviously. The X's and O's and the tactical parts of it and everything. But as far as the way that they handle media, as far as personality-wise, those guys are pretty cool. Don Brown, straight to the point, doesn't beat around the bush. Love his mentality, says Sean Holtz. You are correct. Don Brown is no BS. Marcel Woods, could the loss of Fish be hurting Wilton? I don't know. I mean, I do know that Wilton and Jed Fish had a good relationship, and I know that Wilton and Pep Hamilton have taken some time to get to know each other and get a relationship too. It's different with different guys. Pep is a different kind of guy than Jed was. So, I mean, I'm sure there's some personality adjustment. But at the end of the day, Pep Hamilton is there to coach Wilton and not be his friend. I mean, it's cool if you can get that friend relationship. But, I mean, I think Pep's more of an all-business type of personality. I think that Jed Fish was certainly more of like a player's coach type of personality. Kind of guy who would text you, make sure you got home okay, or, after practice, or, something like that. Jed's that type of guy, I think. Tyrone Sensi, hey Tyrone, how's it going? In y'all's opinion, who is better insider for Michigan info, Sam Webb or Adam? Hey, it's B, not an N there. And I can't even touch Sam Webb. So please, I can't even touch Sam. Sam's been doing this for a long time. Sam is connected. I respect Sam. Yeah. It's flattering, thank you. I'm glad that you guys, I'm not going to BS you and tell you that I know more than I know. I'll tell you what I know, and if I don't know it, I'll tell you. But yeah, Sam's the man, guys. Elite Demon says, I love both of them. I appreciate it. Yeah, Ford Masterful is not cool, Tyrone. Yeah, Tyrone, why'd you spell my name like that? I don't like that. Was it, the B and the N are right by each other, so it's possible. I mean, I've done that accidentally one time checking in on Southwest. I did type that because the B and the N are right there, but misclick. All right, cool. Yeah, I didn't think so. I didn't think. I mean, but it's easy to do. It's easy to do. Elite Demon shaking my damn head, man. What a misclick. I mean, guys, the B and the N are right by each other, so I'm not gonna jump on Tyrone for that. Obviously, sorry, but Adam, consider he doesn't have as much access as Sam, Jeremy says. Sam has access that we all dream of, pretty much. Sam Webb is very well respected by the coaching staff, by the players. Very, very much. Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. For that, yeah, it is one hell of a misclick. Like, oops, yeah, definitely. No, I get that. Yeah, not always easy to get a response on questions from Sam. Adam does a great job with questions, says Sean Holt. Well, I mean, Sam's got 20 times the volume I probably have as well, and Sam's runs Scout, the Scout, Michigan Scout. Trying to think what else he does, and with his radio show WTKA. Sam does a lot of stuff, guys. Prayers for Sam too. Glad to have him back after. Yeah, it wasn't that. I talked to him in Dallas. He walked by. He said hello. Sam and I are both from Flint. I live I live just about a quarter mile from his old stomping grounds at Flint Central. So, Sam, I think Sam and I have that Flint guy connection. We both understand it, and yeah, well, that was absolutely horrible news. I told him that I was sorry, and he looked at me and he said, "Hey, football season's here, and it's keep his mind on kind of." But yes, prayers for Sam and his family. That was horrible. Leet Demon says Sam and Adam are the only two people I trust for info. I appreciate it, Leet. Thank you. Ryan Pfeiffer, within the next 2 games, DPJ is taking one in the house on a punt return. Heard it here first. All right, Ryan. We saw somebody screenshot that. Ryan, are you on Twitter? Why don't you tweet that at me? At AdamBiggers81. I'll favorite it. And we'll remember it. Anytime, Adam. Just telling the truth. Hey, I appreciate it, Lee. And like I said, you guys know that I take a lot of pride in, like I said, if I don't know something, I'm not going to tell you that I know. I do. I hear a ton of stuff. I confirm it before I write it, before I tweet it, before I say it. That's just the way that I operate. So I appreciate that you guys consider me a good source. Thank you. Yeah, Ryan, definitely tweet that at me because we want to have that on record. I said it's going to happen. He has the moves. He's got to be more assertive fielding the ball. Point blank. Take a page out of Grant Perry's book. Flag it down. Out of everybody's book. DPJ is the only guy who doesn't do that. Jalen Taylor says, I see DPJ getting within the 5-yard line like Evans last year. I mean, look, he's already had the 18-yard punt return, right? And then the 44-yard jet sweep. We know he has a speed. He ran the fastest 40. It was I'm forgetting the time again. I think it was a 4.55 or 4.54, I believe. Fastest 40 during spring. He's got wheels. And speaking of wheels, Brian Lewerke, who saw that 61-yard touchdown against Western Michigan. You want to talk about creating, and I talked with Mark D'Antonio about that. And again, guys, I know most of you here are from Michigan stuff. I do cover Michigan State a little bit, and don't forget to read that, even if you're bored and you just want to read it. If you want to find out more about Brian Lewerke, early scouting report, put this way. If you guys are all Michigan fans right now, I'm assuming. Scouting report on Brian Lewerke. He's good. Look what he did last year in that limited role against Michigan. 6 for 10, 100 yards. Brian's a good quarterback. Jalen Taylor says, it looks like he runs so slow, but just blows by people. It's weird, isn't it? He is not speedy. At least eye test, and then you see him beating defensive backs down the field. If there was about 10, 15 more yards on the field, I don't remember who, but whoever was trailing, they would have got him. Have you heard anything about Shelton Johnson or Reuben Jones? Tyrone Sensi, yes. I have not. Heard about Nate a little bit in camp. But no, nothing about Shelton, nothing about Reuben. I asked about Reuben. So I was asked about Reuben and Carlo Kemp. This was like last year. And that's probably the last time that I can recall hearing Reuben Jones brought up by a coach. Wes Weber says, Jalen, that was punny. Hold this out. Safety on Western, but hard on LJ Scott. He would have tackled Lewerke if he had eyes. Ryan Piper says, Wes Weber, Brad Hawkins. Brad, he got in there he was kick return team. Saw him on the field. Ryan Piper, Spate seems like he's trying too hard, like he is aiming the ball instead of just throwing the ball. I'm sticking with him. I think he will progress and be fine. Guys, I feel like a lot of the complaints about Wilton are the same ones last year before they won 9 games in a row. And I forgot who brought it up. If you're in here and you guys brought it up, let me know. But someone was talking about Wilton's record as a starter, 11-3, and then they mentioned last year the wins, 3 losses by combined 5 points. So 6 points is keeping Wilton Spate. Believe it, because it's true. And put this into context: 6 points separates Wilton Spate from being a 14-0 starter. 6 points. If he was 14-0 starter and still, he's still playing the same way, right? He has dipped a little bit this year. I agree with that. But I think it's a continuity thing. I think, like I said, he's getting used to a new right side of the offensive line. I think he's getting used to new receivers. It's a new coach calling, new passing, a little bit of a new offense. I know it said basically the terms had changed. It wasn't really too much difference, but at the same time, there are differences. Let me see. Any more? Yep, Jalen Taylor, 3. Yeah, that was you, Jalen, wasn't it? 3 losses by 5 points. And then, yeah. So isn't that kind of funny to think about? That Wilton Speight is 6 points away from being 14-0 as a starter. And then someone said, yeah, but he wouldn't have won big games. And my reply was, 14-0 would have included wins in big games. Do your math. MAF. I was being a jerk. Sorry. But I'm not sorry. Sometimes I feel like I should cool it just a little bit because I really like some of these comments, guys, like are just. I have a hard time believing someone actually believes what they're tweeting. Wes Weber says it was kind of funny to watch Harbaugh roll his eyes at Wojo when he asked about Wilton. Jim's he does not. I don't think his intent is to ever like embarrass or call somebody out. But if he doesn't like it, I think he's gonna let you know. And he did call out. It was Pete Thamel of Sports Illustrated at Big Time Media Days, guys. Thamel just kept hammering him with the social media question and the attention and what if this happens and is it good? And Harbaugh just basically stopped him in his tracks and he's like, look, man, something about I know you're trying to write in an article or you're trying to fill in an article. What do you want me to say? I feel like you're basically Harbaugh identified, and Harbaugh's been doing this for a while. He's dealt with a lot of media. That he was basically being baited into a pre-written article, and that's a thing too, guys. People do that. You have to keep that in mind as well. I'm not trying to bash anybody, and with the Wojo thing, I mean, Wojo asked a good question. I mean, it was a valid question, and I think the Harbaugh some with some of the media members like Wojo's been around for a while. I think Wojo's probably covered Michigan since Harbaugh was there. I'm not a diss on Wojo, but I forgot who said it. I think it was Angelique or maybe John. John Nio. I don't know how he says his last name. Sorry, John. That he was there for that 1892 push ball match at the University of at Michigan. So it's good though. I think if a coach has those type of relationships with the media, I mean it's people. It's interpersonal, right? It's not just media and coach. It's also interpersonal and player. It's interpersonal. You treat them the way you want to be treated, vice versa. If you're a jerk, and I'm not saying Wojo was being a jerk, but you know what I mean. Some of these reporters out there, I mean, Harbaugh's not, put it this way, Harbaugh's not afraid to put somebody in their place if he feels like he needs to. He rolled his eyes because at this point he doesn't want to be asked every week if there's a quarterback competition. Spade is the guy unless injury happens. And yeah, absolutely, Sean. Absolutely. He doesn't want any more quarterback. I think that he's pretty much made it clear, like, this is my decision. Wilton, and he said it. You know, Wilton is the starting quarterback. That's end of story. End of story. And I feel like that, I mean, a lot of, again, I don't want to pat my back here, but guys, I've been telling you guys, I've been writing this for 8 months. I've been saying this all summer, all spring, all fall. It's Wilton. Always was, always will be until he leaves. Period. For Masterfuls, I wish you did a stream where everyone can use audio because some things can get lost through text. That would be cool. I'd like to have like a call-in line. You know what I mean? Do it just like, old school sports talk radio. Namdi Dazunmu. Did I say that right, Namdi? Namdi Dazunmu. With the passing game lacking experience, any thoughts on why Khalid Hill hasn't been used more in the passing game? He has experience with Speight and has proven to be a reliable receiver. Absolutely, yeah. I'm wondering, we'll see more Khalid, I think, but yeah, I'm with you, Namdi. He has options, and the tight ends too. We've talked about tight ends. Like, I don't feel like we've seen a lot with the tight ends, but what we have seen. Again, the Florida game, Wilton comes out, fires 2 consecutive passes to Sean McCune. That gets his confidence a little bit. coming out of the halftime. That 60, what was it? 63 or 36 yard. I'm getting it confused to. Who has the stat? I don't have the stat on it. It was a long pass to Zach Gentry. 36 or 63, I'm forgetting, guys. I think it was 36 yards. Or was it 63? Somebody correct me on this. I had the stat. Sometimes some of the stuff gets jumbled in my head. Point being, it was a great ball to Zach Gentry. John O'Corn to Eubanks. Or no, it was Spate to Eubanks. Eubanks has had a nice catch. I'm losing steam, guys. I'm losing steam. 36 yards. Thank you, Wes, the stat man. But you guys get my point. When the tight ends have been used, they have been effective. And look at the blocking from Sean McCune too. Don't forget his blocking. Sean McCune's going to be a real deal tight end. Real deal. Zach Gentry is more athletic than I thought, says TJ Bellware. That kid, yeah, and at 6'7", 6'8", dangerous. Tyrone Sensi, is Mo Ways injured? No, Mo's gotten on the field. No, I can't confirm if he's injured. I don't know if anything happened post Cincinnati, that I don't know about, but he was on the field against Florida. I believe he saw the field against Cincinnati. He dressed. Lee Demon says tight ends have been pretty good. They have been, and kind of underutilized. So, boom, that's a column right there, guys. Thanks. I'm going to write that. Michigan has been underutilizing tight ends. Or when will we see more tight end use? 6'7", runs a 4.7 40. Yeah. How many 6'7" guys do that? With that wingspan, you got a 4.7 40 guy who could basically go wherever you want him to in the field. He's big enough to go over the middle. Big enough to be an outside threat with 4.7 speed. Have fun with that, Wilton Spate, because that is a connection right there. For Masterfuls, I feel like Rashawn Gary is being used wrong in a sense. Why is that for Masterfuls? Is it because of the stats? Because if it's because of the stats, and Wesley made a great point about this the other night, or during the other podcast. So if it's because of the stats, don't just base it on that. I think Rashawn Gary has been beyond effective. Beyond effective. Hold This L says, who has Wilton beaten when he carried them to a win? That's like crediting Peyton Manning for the Broncos Super Bowl win when that defense carried them. He's still the starting quarterback, man. He's still the starting quarterback. I thought Gentry would be like the Lions' Joe Faria. How did Joe say it? It was Faria. Elite Demon. Adam, are you sold on Drevno being the offensive coordinator? I feel like sometimes he is in over his head. Could this be why Fish left? Don't know that. I don't know anything that I want to say on the podcast. Put it that way. No, I don't think Tim Drevno's in over his head. He did a pretty good job at USC. For Rashawn, go look at MGO blog tunnel screen post from earlier. Explains exactly how stats are limited, says Wes Weber. Yeah, they're scheming against Rashawn. He's not getting the stats, but he's still getting back there. Hey, guys, 10 quarterback sacks already, and 8 or 9. Wes has seen 9. The stat broadcast that we use, the media stats, the totals were 8. Sometimes, though, it's easy to lose one in there. But, yeah, 10 quarterback sacks and 8 or 9 quarterback hurries. Very much so. All right, guys, it's going on 44 minutes. So much for the short episode. I really do need to mow my lawn, unless someone wants to do it for me. And actually, no, because I like mowing my lawn. I like it done a particular way. So, one final question. Nnamdi Dasamu, your opinions on Big Ten quarterback play for the top tier teams as a whole so far, coming into the season amongst the top teams quarterback play? Well, this is a long question, but I know where you're going. I think Trace McSorley's been pretty good for Penn State. I think JT has not been great for Ohio State. I have not seen enough of Hornibrook yet at Wisconsin. So I'd have to, I can't really give you a bunt. But for the I guess for the high end, I mean, let's just look at Penn State and Ohio State. I think McSorley's been pretty decent. JT has not. JT really struggled against Oklahoma. I had Ohio State winning that game. I'm surprised. Baker Mayfield went in there and owned them. And did you guys see the post? Somebody, I forgot where it came from. I think maybe a SB Nation. Somebody caught it, and Baker was telling Ohio State fans that he had a couple more for him. So, Four Masterful says, "Yo, Ed, I'm going to hit you on Twitter." All right, Four Masterfuls, because you missed my reasoning. Okay. Well, guys, I read the questions as they're written, and yeah, sometimes it can get a little lost in translation. Sean Hull says, "See ya, Adam. I'll be back for the Air Force preview." Yeah, guys, tonight we're aiming for about 8 p.m., 8:30 Eastern time. Myself with Thomas Bendit, BT Powerhouse. Thomas covers a lot of big time basketball. He's really just great source of knowledge when it comes to big time basketball. Also really into football, Michigan football. So he and I are gonna do the Air Force preview. We're gonna give you who you need to know, who you need to watch out for, the ins and the outs, the X's and O's, and all that stuff. Apple users, ask Siri, who owns Ohio Stadium? Baker comes back with Baker Mayfield. Zachary Hamden, does Air Force scare me? No. I mean, the Air Force doesn't scare me. Does Air Force scare Michigan? No, I can't imagine. And this goes back, guys, I'll leave it on this. This goes back to the mentality thing. Michigan is not scared. This is Jim Harbaugh coach team. These guys are prepared. These guys are taking the field every week feeling like they're going to win the game. And it's not cocky, overconfident. But if you don't go into something feeling like you're going to be successful and that you're just as good as the other guy, then you're wasting your time. So, guys, come back tonight, about 8 o'clock, 8:30 Eastern. I'll post a reminder on my Twitter, at AdamBiggers81. Search Facebook and like Sports in the Mitten. Follow on Twitter, at Mitten Sports MI. Want to thank Tim and Keith down there at Mr. Spots in Ann Arbor, 808 State Street. We'll be giving away more free food this week. All those details to come. And again, follow all my work on FanRagSports.com, at FanRag_U, and at FanRag Sports on Twitter. Have a column on Michigan's defense. How much have we seen? Basically was the question that I asked Jim Harbaugh, so I wrote about it. Appreciate you guys for joining me. I'll talk to you, looks like probably in about 4.5 hours. So have a good afternoon.